You want to listen. Today I'd like to tell you about the 4 mistakes that I see people make when they're trying to learn songs by ear. And these 4 mistakes are starting at the beginning, trying out random notes, not trying to figure out the key as soon as possible, and not using the key to constrain the chords. So let me talk about the first point. Starting at the beginning. Why would you not want to start at the beginning? Well, you can if you're very trained already, but if you're not, the easiest thing to figure out is the melody, because it's the most prominent thing you can hear. So if this is a song, it's what people sing. Even if that's not what you want to play in the end, start by figuring out the melody first. Go on YouTube, find a song, best pick a lyrics video if it exists. It makes it easier to hear the melody if you know the words, because the words give you the rhythm already. So if I take as an example Let Her Go by Passenger. Well, you only need the light. Well, you. I can pretend I don't know the starting note, but this is my third take of this clip, so I know already what the note is. Well, you only need the light. Well, you only need the light. The first note is the hardest part of the whole thing. First note of the melody. It's not that hard, but from then on everything is easier. Let's talk about mistake number 2. Playing random notes. So you have the starting note, and now you go ba da ba da ba ba da 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 ba 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 ba. Only takes the light when you're feeling low. Okay, so what you want to do instead is you want to listen and you want to figure out when the melody stays the same. It sometimes goes up, it sometimes goes down. Once you have figured out when the melody moves exactly and where it goes, that's already the hardest part in hearing a melody. Well, you only need the light when it's burning low. So once I have the movement of the melody and the starting note, it's not very hard to figure out what the notes are. Well, you only need the light when you're burning low. Hope those are the words. Mistake number 3, not figuring out the key. Figure out the key of the piece. If you know the key of the piece and you know your scales, which you should know your scales. You should know your 12 major scales at least, which gives you the 12 natural minor scales for free. Anyway, figure out the key of the piece, because the key tells you which notes are likely. So instead of dealing with 12 notes, you suddenly only deal with 7 notes. Makes everything easier. Also, you know what your home is, you know which notes are tens under which chords, so everything becomes easier if you know your key. How do you figure out your key? Well, in our example, what do we have? Da, 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 ba, 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 da, 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 da. Well, that looks very much like a G major pentatonic. And that means it's very likely that this is in G major. It's not 100% certain, but da 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 ba 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 da da ba da. It's like, this feels very much like home. Now, so you take this as a running hypothesis, and when you go down in the scale, this is likely, this is not so likely. So it makes everything faster and easier, in particular in figuring out the chords, which is the next point. So, coming to mistake number 4. Mistake number 4 is not using the key to constrain the chords when you're trying to figure out the chords. Why? Because if you don't do this, the possibilities for the chords are endless. If you know your key and you know how keys work, then this boils down to 3 or 4 keys, 5, 6 basic triads. Sometimes they have chord extension, but you have a pretty good idea where this song can go in terms of chords. Let me show you this with Let Her Go. So if the piece is in G and this piece is in G, then the possible chords are G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, very likely, plus 7th, 6th, 9th chords, not very likely in this example. So G being the tonic, C being the subdominant, D being the dominant. So in the case of Let Her Go, we have this melody. So A is clearly a passing note. So we're starting on G. So G is a possibility, or E minor. I go just up here a little bit, so my chords don't sound so muddy. Only take the light when you're feeling low. Very, very sad. Only take the light when you're feeling low. Only take the light. There we go. It's a C. So the only possibilities really for the G chord, for the G note, is a G chord, or an E minor chord, or a C chord, because those are the only triads that have the G in. Only need the light when you're burning low. So here we have C going to G. There's a little resolution. Next thing we have an A. Smells like the dominant. Could have been A minor. Too sad. What else could it be? It could be A minor. F sharp diminished, very unlikely, so it's a D. And so on. This is how you can easily figure out the chords if you use your key as a constraint. Use the key. This is my first long form video on this channel. I hope you liked it as much as I like making it. Follow me if you like this kind of content. This gives me a clear signal that I'm doing something right, and because my channel is so small at the moment, it means a lot to me. Every single subscription means a lot to me. Hope I see you in the next video. Bye. So mistake number 2. 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 So you have found the first note of the melody. In our case, it's an A4. Sorry, it's an A3. So mistake number 2